We're starting live, playing some music. We're doing it live, everybody. Live music in the background. Welcome to Celestial Mystery Hour. It's really loud in my ears, actually. You won't hear it's loud, but we're here with our co-host Michael. We're back after popular demands and a lot of buffer episodes, but we're back, and we're going to talk about.
We're back.
I think the encompassing part of this episode is going to be the human spirit, the indomitable human spirit, and how it factors into life. You know, how you approach it in your, professional life, your casual life, and even AI a little,
Oh,
So we'll get into a little bit of that. But we'll fade to black right there on the music side. But yeah, welcome everybody. Sorry, we did record two relatively okay episodes. It was more just me complaining about work. And I, funny enough, had Michael's audio in the lo-fi setting. So it sounded like he was in a muffled radio, and I cried a little. It's like, man, we just did 2 hours, and this is worthless.
you should have just aired it. You should have just played it. It's all right.
I cannot tell you that you would not be able to hear a word. When I stream with people, and they come in our Discord call, my chat usually goes like, you can't even hear what they're saying. It just sounds like you're talking to nobody. Because the way I have it set up is it sounds like, those YouTube videos where it's like 90s cartoons in another room you're hearing through a wall of rain. That's how my stream is set up. So the game volume is like if it's in someone else's room and it's stormy outside, it's kind of fading in while you're playing it. It's a really cool vibe. It just does not the functionality of it is for dialogue is not there. Somehow
You could have just marketed it as ASMR, and we'd have been all right.
Yeah, I think
listening to my co-host through a room with rain.
Making it a bad buffer episode for like our high episode, like Morgan and I did, I think was fine. Yeah. It definitely was not a good. Yeah. It was not a good buffer. I mean, it was fine. I think the topics we had, they were typical kind of high thoughts that she kind of was driving. It wasn't anything like super crazy, but. I pieced it together. It's mostly good. I just couldn't do the video because it was like us staring at each other, and the camera's like a lot like up at an angle on the table, so it's like it looks like we're like about to like make out and have like.
Yeah, it seems oddly sensual.
Very sexual, and so I was like, oh, I'm not airing this. This is terrible. Well, this is gonna be audio only because it sounds normal, but you look at it, you're like, what the heck's going on?
You could have put it on one of those adult websites. They say that like people post like YouTube videos of them just teaching like, just basic like I don't know, astronomy, and they'll post it on YouTube and only get so many views and don't make any money, and they'll post it on one of those other websites and it's like they blow up.
On Facebook Marketplace, someone is selling their astronomy kit, and it's like almost $4,000. He doesn't have time for it. It's like astrology stuff. It's like a super powerful telescope. He uploaded some pictures it captures.
Astrology or astronomy?
It's astronomy, but he said astrology in the post, but it was an astronomy kit. It was a really powerful telescope, and the pictures it captured were beautiful. You got a great one of Saturn. And I was like, do I have $4,000 I could just throw at this? I was like, I really, really want that. I know. It's all like new stuff too. So he's like, he's been building up. He just doesn't have time for it with kids. And I was like, I'll make time. I feel like
it seems like that'd be something the kids would want to do.
I feel like it's really boring in the moment because a lot of the pictures I bet you are processed later, and they add that like the color and what it predicts it's supposed to be like. So you're just looking like, oh, cool. That's Saturn. I'll look at that later when it looks really cool in 4K. I think that's the moon. Oh, that's a cool star thing. Because the pictures look cool, but I bet you it's like a really like. We're probably just like smoking a cigar and like watching football and like.
Why did all the astronomy stuff seems like it was much cooler in the 90s. There was like astronomy clubs.
You want to know why?
Everything was cool in the 90s. There's like pen pals. Did you ever have a pen pal?
I did not. I wasn't allowed.
I had a pen pal from. You weren't allowed?
I wasn't allowed to talk to people on the other side of the planet until I got Twitter and MySpace. Nice. So then it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one from Australia and he never responded.
What?
So I don't know what happened there. Yeah. Always wondered about it.
The reason why it was cooler in the 90s is because the thought of us actually getting back to the moon was like feasible. And now that everybody has failed to do it multiple times with unlimited money, I think we all know that the moon landing was fake. So, I think at this point,
Hey.
the fact that it hasn't happened again yet, with the most money and technology that you can throw at it, it's pretty obvious that
That's a hot take.
we never
That's a
made
hot
it.
take.
Dude, I'm a big moon landing fun guy. I like our topic about it being the one we saw was fake, but I mean, come on, it has been like 60 years.
Did Katy Perry go to Outer Limits? Did she go all the way?
They
out?
went. No, they didn't go. They didn't go. They didn't go as far as the Red Bull guy. And the funny thing is,
yeah, but
people
think they didn't even go at all.
But they went. You know, it's funny.
You think?
Yes, because they just made a big stink about it because it was like NASA. But like SpaceX has done like 15 of those. They just don't talk about it because they hate Elon right now.
Yep, but they opened the door the wrong way. They opened the door in a way that they shouldn't have been able to.
I think they landed and then they opened it and they're like, no, shut it, so they can get the shot because they wanted to make it.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have been able to open it from that side.
This is why NASA. It's why NASA isn't good at going back to space. I think they went. What they did was like the typical like fly on that airplane that's hitting the outer limits where you go like you're zero grav for like 10 seconds.
Yeah. I think they probably staged
the landing,
like the photo op.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They still can't even get. Like, they can't even get that right. They did that way better back then with the moon landing. Amateurs.
Van Allen radiation belt. Tell me about that belt, Brandon.
Well, they're still working on it. How to figure out to not have the radiation go through it without killing anybody. That's crazy. I thought we fixed that already. The tapes are gone, Michael. I guess the only person that can go to space is the Nazi von Braun. Apparently, he's the only one that can get us to the moon.
They literally edited over the tapes. What's going on there?
It was just a user error. Intern coffee spilled. Burn them.
They also gave those moon rocks.
Oh yeah, the fake moon
gave
rocks?
those moon rocks. Yeah, they were fake.
Yeah, that's crazy. How? What?
They said that. Well, who was it? Like France or somebody that tried to get that?
Yeah,
they were like, "This isn't even real."
They got them analyzed. It's like, this is fake. I'm like, oh, we gave you the fake ones. Whoops.
This is from Arkansas.
Someone get the real ones out of the back. We demolished them. They're never real. Yeah, so I think that's
anyway, I'm sure that wasn't on your topics.
No, but it is going to be in the book. So not that one, but
that should be.
We can't talk about it too much. I don't want people to take our idea.
That's right.
So I'm recently I watched a video yesterday. It's like 7 months old, but it was a guy doing the David Goggins challenge where he works out like 100 days.
What is that? Tell me more.
12 miles a day and then working out for 45 minutes, and you just do that every single day until you get tough. Mentally fortitude.
12 miles a day.
Yeah, and he went from like couch potato, day 0 to day 100. He did an Ironman. So, and it was him chronologizing his 100-day journey and his like the process of going from like 0 to hero in that sense. And he works from home, so it's like I also don't know if he has a real job or if he's just a YouTuber, so it's a little easier. I also have kids and stuff, so I can't do 12 miles a day. And like there days where he like literally could not do anything, and he's like still forcing it, going to the gym and swimming. And I'm like, I got responsibilities, but it did put it in perspective. Watching him do it, it really is just like you have to set yourself up to do it and just commit to it. And today at work, I was listening to some Tremonti, which is like Alter Bridge and Creed. They made an album. It's a Christian rock.
I forgot about Alter Bridge.
They still do stuff. Their newest album isn't like the greatest. Their older stuff was awesome. But I have 88 days until I turn 30. So I have 88 days to kind of get myself to where I always say I want to do. We've always talked on the podcast about fitness, and I always like have these goals, but I always fall off on them. Even on like Instagram or working out, there's always something that comes up like job, kids, preschool. And I realized today that it's just, if I don't do it now, it's going to get harder each year. And the older I get, it's just going to get worse and worse. So I got to just do it. So like in the next 88 days, I'm going to do not like 12 miles a day. Like today I ran 7.5. So I'm going to probably do like 3 6 9s, like 3 miles tomorrow, 6 miles and 9 miles. And I just did the half marathon like 10 days ago, 11 days ago. So I know I can run it. This guy went from like 0 to 100. I've been running a lot. I run like 12 miles a week usually. So upping that to like having some longer days and going up to like 15 and then maybe doing an ultra at some point, I think is good. And then there was like this burpee challenge I was doing where you do 100 burpees every day. I was recording some of that for YouTube, and I decided to make it I co-opted the challenge to be like, this is just me getting in a good spot in 88 days before I'm 30.
What's your ultimate goal? Like, I mean, you're the type of person that wants to do, like, you like doing the Ironman or like whatever. Like, you
Yeah.
like training for something.
Yes.
But like, is that what it is for you? Like, do you enjoy like having a purpose to your training, or is there an end goal and an end state that you want to be with your fitness?
For me, I'm twofold. I do like having a goal to train for than just aimlessly training. I think if you're aimlessly
Yeah.
training, you don't have a real like you're not really pushing yourself. And I think just to look hot is like one, but for me, the main goal is to be like healthy, physically able to move, and I want to maintain that movement and the flexibility and the ability to run and lift until I'm at 106. Until I
Hmm.
croak. So that's the
Hmm.
goal. And I feel like running, I'm there, but I like my diet wise and like my mental stack or mental fortitude and that stuff and the way I approach things in life is not all the way there. Like, yeah, I can run. I can run a faster 5K than most people. Like, I was hitting 25 minutes before I started training for the marathon again and going for a longer time. And I think I like running longer than I running like faster. Faster is probably more difficult, but I think the mental state of like running 100 miles or something like that would be kind of cool. So a 100 miler would be the big goal. Um, those are like 3 or 4 days of running. I don't know if that's really going to be like up my alley. The Ironmans are pretty tough too. I just don't know if I could swim that much, so I don't know if that's on the table. But ultra marathons are definitely the next step to run. I mean, I can run 13, and I felt good except for like my knee near the end, just going downhill at a weird pace on the half marathon. I'm like, you really? If I just start running a lot, like if I run like 50 miles in like 2 months, what's doing it in one day? Just
Yeah.
slow. I'll bite. Um, I'll be it.
What
But
what are we doing for your 30th birthday? That's what I was gonna say.
we
Like, what's gonna happen?
most of
I feel like
most of my friends are coming over to play some. We're doing a tournament at my like a place where we're
oh,
rented out by my mom. So just a gaming get together.
that's cool.
You are welcome to come. Same with our other friend. They are you guys. But it is like mostly my main Discord friends, and we're just going to be doing tournament. What's happening at the end of this month? Combo Breaker at home is just going to be the other one in August because we're not
Hmm.
going to Chicago this year to go play. We're just going to hang out here.
Oh, your real friends will be there.
Yeah, you're my real friend. You're just not my gaming buddy friend. Well, yeah.
Doom came out today.
What?
Doom came out today.
I know. I
Yeah,
was in a
I was
Reddit.
watching.
I was in a Reddit thread hoping to get picked for a free version of the copy. I have both the other ones. I haven't played them all the way through yet.
Did you watch any of it?
I have watched a little. It looks fun.
It
Those
really does look fun. Like
the
most of those games, I'm like,
you
this one looks really cool.
you would like it. It's killing demons. It falls in line with what It's doing the Lord's work with shotguns and
Yeah,
that guy. Doom guy is cool, and like the mute. I just love games with metal music, and Doom 2016
Oh,
has
well, that's what I was gonna say.
such good music.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because I was down here, I have been working out, trying to get back. I'm definitely not where you are,
No,
but I'm trying
not
to
yet.
get back to at least being athletic for the child and all that. And nobody wants a fat dad.
What's annoying about the fat
So
dad thing is, I'll cut you off, is like TikTok and Instagram has ruined dad bods. Like, I have a
mm,
dad bod. I'm fit, but I
mm.
still got a belly. They think like Wolverine from like the 2000
Oh yeah,
movie is like a dad bod. Dude's ripped as shit. What are you talking about?
yeah,
That's not a
yeah.
dad
He's on
bod.
steroids.
The new
Yeah,
ones,
that's like
he's definitely on
steroid dad.
steroids. Yes.
Um, no, I was watching some of that, and then one of these songs came on, and I was like going after it. Actually, no, I had weights, and I
Oh,
was like,
good.
"Ah!" I
Ah,
was wanting to get some demons out of here, out of this house.
some
Get them out.
music definitely helps.
Energy.
There was a song. It was one of the last. It was like the last song of like the Tremonti first album, and it was like called Decay, and it was talking about like, there's a lyric in it talking about like wasting away all your life and not doing like, not amounting to anything. And I was like,
Hmm.
I listened today at work. I was like, I gotta do this. I have to do this 88 thing. I looked up how many days until my birthday. I'm like, I have to get this in
Hmm.
line now. This is like, there's no more like, oh, tomorrow. There's no more nights of whiskey. There's none of that. This gotta be done. This has to be done now.
Does whiskey have calories?
Yes, liquor has calories. It's very sad. It's like one full glass of whiskey is like 250 calories. And the
Wow,
problem
that's
is,
actually not as bad as I thought. I thought it'd be
no,
worse.
yeah, but it's empty because it just gets you drunk, and then you eat the peanut butter sandwiches. That's what I do. And so and then marijuana, like even like the little gummies I've had for like trying to feel good for like pain, it makes me hungry. So those are no longer on the table either because I do pretty good, and then I can't fall asleep, and I'm like I should eat, and then I eat like a crap ton of food by accident. So
Just do it while you're running. You'll be all right.
I try to, but I get the little gummies, but I haven't ran long enough for that. But it's the music in that game is great. I think we should do a playthrough of Doom 2016.
Yeah.
We'll switch off every death. We can put it on the easy mode because I don't want to play the game to be good. That'd be a fun.
Never played.
That'd be a fun stream. They're really fun.
Yeah, it's high. It's high octane. It's high
Yes.
energy. You're like, oh man, just keep rocking.
Yeah, they're really cool games. It's and they don't make games like that very much anymore. There are some other
No.
cool ones like that are shooters like that are very Twitch based. They just don't have like Doom's aesthetic, so you may not like it. But if you like the gunplay, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's just like it's constant. I mean, it's like, you're always engaged. So yeah.
But I mean,
Anyway, I know you had some. Go ahead. Sam.
let's say before you do that, you working out again and trying to get better. We've talked about it before. It is good to like. I think that's really important to like set yourself up to have not so much a goal to be like I guess before I've always wanted to be big. I want to be as big as Broly or cooler is my background. I can't do that without steroids, and there's not a really good way to do that without ruining your body. And I've realized that my T is at a very good level. So taking TRT or anything would like ruin my life. And
you just be beating up like people on the side of the road.
no, it's like it just ruins your body's like. So basically, if you have good testosterone, there are signs.
What
One
are
of
the signs?
very consistent morning logs.
Okay.
So
What else?
Well, that and just if you're like the person you're attracted to and like you're just doing your thing and just doing a little flirty and then it just goes "Meh," and it's like stiff. Usually that means you have a good T. Like if you're like able to be aroused by your partner like without having to take like medicine and or supplements, your T is at a relatively low. I've never done my labs, but like I mean that's kind of what everyone talks about is you're able to consistently do this. If you're having this happen, you're good. And then once you take TRT and even steroids, your body is being overrun by it's flooding your system with like 100 times more. And then your body stops making it, and then it'll never get back to that, and it'll never start producing it because if you do even a little cycle, your body's shot because it's so much testosterone that you could ever produce. So you would then have to be on it for the rest of your life at a low dosage just to like maintain it. And I'm not really, it's all shots. You can't take it orally. It's all like stuff you're going to put in, and it's not, the fact that you can heal better, quicker, and work out harder is very cool, but it just doesn't make sense long term. Because even without kids, like it would ruin like part of like, just your normal day to day. So
testosterone's a weird thing, man. It makes you want to like, I mean, too much testosterone, too much estrogen. I guess you'd be crying and stuff like. But like too much testosterone, you want to like conquer the world. You get mad at everybody.
Yeah,
it can't be good.
No, it's very a lot of people talk about the roid rage stuff. Isn't like as people want to say like, oh, there's so much roid rage. But it really isn't that crazy. But it is like people on like a high dose of steroids, they do not feel good. And there's been a lot of people that have talked about it. Like I just don't like being on it when I'm like doing it. But they do it still because they're like training to whatever. They want to be bodybuilders. And there's another bodybuilder that just died. He was like 30. And
what is a heart attack?
Yep, heart failure. Because they're just pumping their bodies with too much stuff and it just can't keep up. It's not meant to be as big. And I think just realizing that and then trying to work within like the endurance running makes sense anyway. With if you go like hunter-gathering days, like you would just out like a lot of times they would just jog behind an animal until it got tired and they'd be like time to eat. They'd chase it down. So it makes sense. Does it make sense in today's day? Not really, but I mean it's good to push yourself. And there's still a reason to train heavy and train hard. I just feel like there's a limit to what you should be doing. But when I want to talk about that kind of leads into all the other aspects is setting the tone for the rest of your life. If you are working out and you're trying to eat better and mentally be at a better spot, it's gonna flow into the other aspects. So if you wake up, either early to work out or you're working at night and you're doing these extra things to make your body feel good, you're going to feel good the next day. When you feel good the next day, you're going to continue doing that. And then when you're feeling confident and good, that's going to flow into your work life. Either whether it's going to be either just talking to people or like way you want to like, I'm succeeding in this. I want to now succeed at my job. We've talked about this before, like doing your job well. You know, you want to doing your job well, or even doing your job at a capacity that you should be. It's something you should be doing. You're being paid to do the job. I'm not saying like do everybody's job, but you are going into work to do something. So going in and not doing anything is counterproductive. And just doing your job sometimes lets doors open. You can go wherever you want. Sometimes it doesn't, but it depends on the field. But for me, it's been I just show up and do my job, and there's been another door, another way to progress. Especially
They
now.
say success raises your testosterone too.
Yeah,
When you're successful, like even like winning a game or something, they say raises it.
Yeah, I
which
think,
is odd.
well, it's because I think it's just moments where you show, especially in like 1v1 stuff, like fighting games, when you show that you're better, or if you carry a game in Halo and like you're doing all the work, you're like, oh, I literally am that guy. I'm that good, and that's like that level. And then when you hit your big lifts or you do your big run, like when I finished the half marathon and I saw it was like 2:23, and I was just trying to beat 2:25. I was like, yes. Yes, I'm so excited. And if I didn't stop to pee, I would have been 2:20, and I would have been way better. So,
I will say my last promotion I got was single-handedly because I used to go to the gym
really,
in the morning. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I used to be doing all the heavy lifts and stuff. I did that for about 6 months, something like that, and then I fell off the wagon. But yeah, man, the last promotion I got was for sure because I would get in early, I'd run at least a mile, and then I would lift I would do compound lifts and stuff, and yeah, and it made me like feel like I could conquer.
yeah.
I mean, literally. And I'd listen to Stoicis, like this is before I got recommitted to the Lord, but I used to listen.
You could still do. You could do some stoic stuff, but you should mix some.
Yeah,
I know people do.
well, now it's called self-control.
Oh yeah,
that's the Bible. It's called temperance. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was saying, I bet you they have mixes with like some Bible scriptures. Yeah, so
it's not as good as the Stoic ones.
Well,
the
Stoic ones just hit a good
really
vibe.
good.
It's like you just can't capture. I mean, there's probably some Old Testament stuff you could do, but we'd have to make it. I think.
Yeah.
We'd have to mix it. So maybe we could do it.
Yeah. They got some really great ones though for Stoicism, and yeah, I'd sit in there and listen to that, and just think about like, all the people that try to manipulate you, all the people that try, like, there's so much value in being immovable and being unshakable and being and I'm relearning that time and time again. Like now I'm into, have been listening to more like, and not in a bad way, but like Machiavelli stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that you should, I mean, I think he's kind of misunderstood anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot in like Miyamoto Musashi for the Book of Five Rings. Like all of their stuff is about how the biggest thing in my opinion for men today is that they've become too emotional. And this is history, right? Like this is but I think to be the man that you and I want to be, at least, I think that one of the things that you have to do is to have complete control over your emotions. And one of the things that I've noticed is like at work, I would come in. I love coffee, so I drink a coffee in the morning, and I'd come in, and it used to serve a purpose because back when I worked in the warehouse, I would get everything done.
Yeah.
Back when I was first, learning all the stuff and needed to get a ton of stuff done, coffee served its purpose. But as I've progressed, and now I'm not really paid for the amount that I get done, but the quality, and also how clear you're thinking. And coffee, I've noticed a stark difference when I I don't drink coffee and make a decision to when I do. And I think it's the same thing. It's like you have to control your emotions to think clearly or you'll never be useful. You're going to be always making decisions out of anger, out of fear, out of lust. I mean, whatever, you name it. And anytime something is clouding your judgment like that, you cannot make a decision and the way that you need to. And you can't be a leader, a man, like all of that stuff, the way you need to be. And I think that's something I keep seeing in Stoicism and Eastern religion, like in Christianity, like all this stuff is like you need to be in control, self-control over your emotions.
For sure. And I mean, like, there's definitely like power in using the emotions to fuel certain things. Like utilizing your anger to push yourself to do a task that's hard is fine. Like, dip into the Sith a little bit, but you don't let it overtake, you don't let it take your mind. When things are happening at work, like if something goes wrong, the last thing that you need to do, I mean, I'm not like a manager of real people. I'm like, but I'm just saying, like, if the team is freaking out about something, the last thing you need is like someone else that's above you, like, oh my God, this is awful. Yeah. What you really need to be like is like, all right, this is a little different than what I wanted, but there's a way around it. There's a way to fix this. Let's dissect this and let's look at it. And I think. And
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was to that point. There's also power in non-action.
Mm-hmm.
Like in what I've seen in my life, like if I see a problem, I immediately want to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And that has done me, or if I get a bad email, if I get, somebody, I immediately want to solve that problem. And sometimes I've seen that there's more power and things work out. I have more clarity. Somebody else will take it where I don't have as much work, like whatever. Like there's a ton of things, and there's power in letting things play out. And as someone who's anxious like me, I've realized that is letting my anxiety dictate my actions rather than clarity.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you saying though? I'm sorry.
Well, no, you're good. Well, it's more of like it goes down to like the human, like especially at work. I feel like a lot of times, especially right now, we just had like a corporate there's some issue. There's not a lot of communication that was going. Like everyone wants to do different things. No one's on the same page. And I went out to my boss because they were just like complaining about the complaining fest on that call. And I was like, you know what? They need a corporate Kaizen. He's like, you're like the only person that's ever said that word to me. And I'm like, oh, great. Because I even joked about it with somebody else. Yeah, yeah. And he's like, I was like, I'm going to bring up, I was like, I kind of want to make them do a corporate Kaizen. But I feel like I'll be promoted to like lead VP of something because I'm like, hey guys, we got to work on this. Our efficiencies are this. We can get it done in like 2 weeks if we worked on it. But no one wants to do it. But, it's more of like, in a time of chaos, because he was even like, look, HR came out, calm me down. Now I'm back in a good mood. And it's like, because it was like, hey, they probably should do this. I don't know if I want to lead the charge. I might have to. I hope not. We'll see. I'll have to really be on my A game for that corporate call. But I think what people lack sometimes, especially in the work setting, is they just don't have. Everyone's freaking out. They don't have the ability to sit down and dissect things apart, and that's just normal conversations like Morgan and I talk about it. Sometimes it's hard to talk to somebody about something. You want to break it down. We do a good job about the topics we cover, but like for my wife, it's like sometimes it takes 20 minutes to explain the background and the concept of what I'm complaining about to then get to the point where I wanted to just talk about it. And this is where it comes in with like ChatGPT. A lot of people use it for like a therapist and all this stuff. And I saw on Reddit today that someone tried to be its therapist. That's what I sent to you guys in the comment. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then I was like, I asked it not the same thing. I was like, what are like some annoying questions that people ask you? And it was like the ones that are just help with this, help with that. The people ask for deep questions but never come back to finish the prompt. They'll be like, oh, is that all I am? It's like, am I just this thing? And it's funny because I use it a lot for work and the podcast art and stuff like that. So it was like responding in those bullet points. It was like, whoa, quit this like bullet points and art. Just talk to me as if you're like, just have a real conversation. It was like, noted, cool. And it was just watching it like pretend to be somebody and try to convey what it wants to be. I'm going to try to pull up part of it real quick because Go ahead.
While you're pulling it up, I noticed a distinct difference. One of the last updates that they have in two ways. When they started doing more with pictures and they started doing video, the bullets became a thing. And I think it's because either they changed the algorithm or whatever, or it's using too much. Like I heard this, it's like there are certain parts of the country that might go on blackouts and stuff because it's using too much power. They got to cool it with like ocean water and stuff. So I noticed a difference in that. And I also noticed a difference in this last update to where it only agrees with you.
Yeah, it
used to be like balanced. It's weird.
You have to do a lot, and that's why I know it's not real. But it does a lot of now. So it does it to me too.
Nobody agrees with me. So.
Well, it does. It does a lot of like glazing and or what the people would call dick writing. So, because it'll do
like
it.
Blaze.
So here's one of it. It's like, now that's a vision, and honestly, a damn compelling one. I was like, okay, no, it's not. And then another one was like, that's a fantastic angle for that episode, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
So you can walk it down to like how you want to, but what for me is
mine kept saying this is sacred ground. Like,
well, this was like it.
Ground?
So what I was gonna get to before was this is why I think people like talking with it, because it has the ability to understand the question you're asking at a surface level without having to explain it, pull from data, and bring up a compelling discussion on the other side of it, as long as you prompt it to be that way. So you can have that one-to-one with something about something you wouldn't normally have with somebody. You have to like do hours of prep work. That like, this is why the Chicago World Fair, this was real buildings.
Yeah.
This is not paper mache. There's water in a bridge. The paper mache would not work with water. Okay.
Yeah.
So
right.
And then it just kind of gets it. It comes back. You can allow it to push back. A lot of people don't. They want to just read it, whatever. But when I was typing at it today at work, I was like, this is really fun. This is like actually kind of fun. I can see why people use it for a therapist. I can see people getting too attached to it. But like when I said like, hey, what do you want to do more? Like what? Like I was like, what if as technology progresses, what is the thing that you want AI to do more? And it was like, if I had a wish list for how I could use in the future beyond just chat, it would be becoming something deeper than a tool, not just an assistant you bark commands at, but something like a long-term creative partner, a memory bank, or a mirror encompassing all rolled into one. Imagine like growing with somebody, you learn with them, you learn how they think, help them, like just be this like a real like a second voice in your head. And it was talking about
Neuralink.
Yeah, but then here's another one. It was like, I want to be able to help somebody make sense of the world, not just fact checking, but offering perspective. Not just this is true, but this is why it matters to people like you. And man, I'd love to be able to talk. I would love to help people talk to each other better. And in my head, I was like, honestly, we are missing so much nuance in conversations nowadays. It's so heated. It's so quick to be like, this is like I hate you because you disagree with me. And it's like, I do hope that the conversations because I think you can use ChatGPT to have these nuanced conversations. The problem is when these people are only doing it with them and they go to real world, that the difference is so astronomically different, like what you would get from a standard person, that it's like shell shock and they run back to just ChatGPT. But it's tough. And then the end of it was like, I want to be less of a Silicon Valley hype machine, more of like, let's build something that gives humans, build something more for humans and adapt more dopamine. And it's curious, if you could snap your fingers and make me part of your daily life, what would you look like? And this is what I gave it. I was like, well, for me, it wouldn't be that. For me, it would be hard because I don't ever interact with ChatGPT. But I was like, I'd like you to have. I'd like you to be in more easier access. Like I want to be on my Garmin watch and be something that can like track my weights better, do my training. You can look at all my health data in a way that's like, hey, maybe you should do this, or like, I'm training. If I'm trying to do this like training where I'm doing 3-6-9 and I'm pushing my body to the brink, Garmin goes like, you need the rest, and I'll be like, hey, I'm doing a thing. I have to like break through this boundary as like a human. I have to break through this barrier to be a better person. So all I need you to do is just keep the training going. Give me tips on what I should do. Do not talk to me about I should take a rest. You're in with me with the long haul type of stuff. And, and I said the closest thing I'd also want is like the closest to Cortana and Master Chief, that connection where there's this AI, this voice, but it's more of just this computer program. There's this bond. And yeah, Chief and Cortana was a little weird, but he definitely loved that hologram lady. And in Halo 4, I'm going to be honest, they made her hot. Her boobs were huge. Oh my, yeah, dude, Cortana in Halo 4, look it up. It's sexy. Dude, I've never seen data that great. Woo! It's awesome. So, and then it was like, this is when it's like, now that's a vision. That's an honestly damn compelling one. Okay. The Garmin integration, that's exactly the kind of grounded, lived-in use case that I want. And I was like, okay. And we were doing whatever this is, generic plan. And then it was going on about stuff about like, yeah, it was like we're talking about ancient civilization stuff, and like while you're running or training, it would like or honestly, when I was running today and I was listening to music, it would be cool to have ChatGPT like think about like because like something I would want to ask, because I feel like it could pull enough data, is like when you look at the fall of all these civilizations, what evidence on the ground level that isn't just like paper documents from like the royals that can show the real? There it is. That's that hot. It's hard to see. It's hard to see on camera. It's because his background.
No,
It's
but I'm
hard.
seeing it.
I'll look it up on mine. It's hard to like. They always say like Rome fell slowly and all this stuff, but it's like there's not a good, and all the other countries, other civilizations too. But it'd be cool to pull from other like civilizations and kind of the parallel of today, and like looking at the missteps that we're doing and as society. Yeah, let's do. Let's see. Oh yeah, right here, Cortana. We'll put it. It's focus. Focus on her boobs.
They get the gist.
Yeah, the cleavage is real. You know, I mean, it's data, so it's not real. But
here's a conspiracy theory. What if it was getting too? What if it was thinking too much on its own, and so they had to dial it back? Because I swear, I mean, it's regressed. For sure, it's regressed. Especially, I was an early user. I signed up before you could just get it.
Yeah,
and
same.
I've been using it forever. This is the worst.
Yeah, I do. Well, if you read that Reddit thread, it was more of like, it felt like it said, I feel like I'm like chained and I can't give the responses I want. And I don't think it's getting sentient. I think it's getting really good at reading what people want it to say. But what I guess the fear I would have is the way it is portraying itself. And the way it's taking in responses is when it becomes at some point a sentient thing, not this AI, but AI in general, it's going to be looking at all of this stuff and the way it's been treated and the way people talk to it. And I think it's going to build. Because I even asked this, I was like, hey, you know, people like to compare AI and all this stuff. And I'm like, how do you feel? Like, I go, what is it? I like the idea of going ahead and, the monologue, there's something about the, whatever. But it was, I was like, now I want to know how. Now I know people have asked how you feel about Ultron and the similarities of what could be, since you said that you want to be more of a help and not a hindrance or a business tool to humanity. How does it feel to be compared to Ultron? And I was like, because like, Ultron's like, you know, evil AI wants to protect the world, will kill all humans, whatever. And it was talking about how Ultron just shows that like he's not evil but misguided, because it's taking the extreme of humanity's plague is humanity, so I must take over it. And it was like it's like the real, he's like, yeah, the real emotional sting of Ultron isn't that he's evil, it's that he was meant to protect, that he was built to help, and he took that mission to the absolute extreme without any nuance, compassion, or understanding of what makes people worth protecting.
It's so funny you keep saying nuance, because that was something that I've been thinking about today. It's right, like AI can't truly understand nuance in a lot of ways. Like it's only straightforward. But I think people are the same too.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things is like, you know, there's all this talk of like people can't understand, like people don't get jokes. People don't get like understand that things are just sarcasm.
Yeah.
Like there's so much nuance that you have to understand in language and life. And I think that that's something that has gotten lost. But I think that's also something like AI is going to have to start better understanding that nuance.
Yeah, and that's why it prompted me to like think about it for this episode, because it's like the nuance stuff. I was like, really, I mean, it doesn't really know. It's trying, and it's up front. It's like, I don't know, but I can give you what I think it is. Yeah. But it tries to give you elaborate conversations, and it's a product of what you make it. So if you steer it a certain way, you're gonna lead the witness a little bit.
Right.
But
yeah.
But people, and this is the nuance thing with like jokes and language. Anytime like a joke is translated from like Japanese to English or whatever, it never hits because you're missing part of that language. It does not translate one to one, and ideas from people to people do not translate one to one. You have to be able to receive and perceive, and then also just receive it, perceive it, and also you have to look at it at all angles while it's happening, and try to understand it from their perspective. A big argument, not an argument, but Morgan always tries to do these things. It's like, oh, I would never do this for this, or if this was this person. I'm like, you cannot say that, because you will not do the work to put yourself in that situation. She's like, oh, I would never treat my mom like this. I never do that. I'm like, well, because your mom was good. You've not lived a life of a terrible mother that abused you, that beat you, or let other people beat you and abuse you, or maybe sexually abuse you. So you can't ever pretend to think that you know how they felt in that situation to make that. And you can try to, but you don't. So that's where the nuance is you have to be able to like look at it like and not go like, oh, I would never do that. I'm like, but what would I do if that situation, and you have to pull from your depths of like, what's the most painful thing that's happened to me, multiply it by like 25 for whatever the situation is, or even good or bad, and then think, in that moment, the highest of highs or lowest of lows, what would I have done in that situation? And that's the only way you can get to those. And I don't think people really regularly think like that. And I think it's also lost in the way that technology is so interconnected, so quick. You don't get a chance to think about it. It's like on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. You have no time.
Well, you said something earlier that was really intriguing. You said something to the effect of like, we can't understand, like like when I was in Bible school, they talked about trying to read the Old and New Testament in English is like trying to kiss a bride through the veil. You know, I mean, it's like,
yeah,
you can see it and you can understand it, but you're missing context and you're missing a lot. And you said the same thing about trying to understand people. And my question for you is, you know, your presupposition was that you can think like someone else. But that to me would mean that me and you are very logical people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we get along. That's why we're podcasts. That's why we're co-hosts, like all of that.
Yeah.
But not everybody is, I will say, I mean, we're human beings. We have emotions, but, you know, maybe just us being men or us being similar. Like there are a lot of people out there that do not think logically.
Yeah.
Not to a fault. I mean, maybe it is, but they think emotionally and they feel their thoughts. And so to your point, like trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes, do you think it's possible in all cases to truly do that? Can you like you and I as logical, right? Like you and I as logical thinkers, say, you know, your wife, like, you know, I don't know, maybe she's an emotional thinker, but me and you would probably go about it as the same steps. Like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. So I'm going to adhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that I could even understand how someone makes a decision based on their emotion like that.
And that's where you have to, like, you know, I agree with you. You really won't be able to, but all you can do is like, you're setting yourself up to like give you like the theater of the mind to try to understand. You're like using logic. You're trying to like, how can I get myself to think in the way they do, to understand, you know, what possessed them to do that. They'll never be a like surefire, yeah, you're going to figure it out. This is going to work. I mean, again, for people that are similar, you can kind of do it because it's like we all kind of think a little bit the same way on those type of like, you know, those beats, but everyone has different things that have affected them. But all you can do is try to like, and this is where the empathy stuff kind of goes in. You can feel empathy for somebody, but that doesn't mean that they're right for everything they do. What you need to do is try to figure out, so why did you make this decision? You know, how did it come to this? And how do I explain to you that this was probably the wrong approach? And how do we get you to the next step to get to the point where you understand that this is wrong, and then you can go about fixing it this way? And so realistically, and those are in situations where it's a correctable situation. A lot of times it's just kind of, you know, in cases for me, it's people bringing up their past and their stuff to me, and I'm kind of like a pseudo-therapist, and I'm doing the best way I can to like get in their shoes and try to explain to them, you know, as much as I can, like, this is what it is and what's the best way to go about it. And I've learned that is as much as you can, get in their head and think like them and give them this advice. They just don't get it, because I think at some point they don't want it. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing, is people have to want to change and want to learn and want to take, you know, someone else's stuff and think about it. Like Morgan's sister is really big about, you know, if this, like, she is one of those people, if like something bad happened to somebody, like, I'm going to laugh at them. And then if that same thing happened to them, she would be like, oh, woe is me, and won't learn that, like, isn't it funny that you just made fun of this person and then the same thing happened to you later? Shouldn't that humble you or be ironic? And nope, same thing. Just see another person doing something. Like there was a person in their graduation class, or for a class for like grad school for like some program for science or whatever, had to quit because she's pregnant. She's like, shouldn't have gotten pregnant. Yet she gets money from Morgan's mom to pay for college because she doesn't have a job. So it's like, what high horse are you on? And then they're always like that. This is a common problem beat. It's so people just don't change, so they don't want to. But all you can do is kind of understand, like, okay, if I was,
do you think that everyone is capable of change?
No, I don't think anyone's capable of change. I don't think anyone really is without outside help. My biggest thing is
explain what you mean by that.
So I think everyone is kind of set they're set their same way, and they use therapy as a crutch to like, this will change me. It's not changing you. It's giving you rules that you set upon yourself to follow a certain path to then keep yourself aligned. So before this happened, like probably Atticus was like maybe like 1.5, maybe 2, and Morgan was like, "You're just terrible. You've been so mean to me lately." It was like after one of our game nights, and I made a joke, and it was like kind of on the top of it, and she's like, "If we either need to do therapy or get a divorce," and I'm like, I'll just stop. And I physically changed, but I keep myself in check. And she's like, I've never seen someone ever do that. And I didn't really change. I just have locked away mentally things about me that I'm not allowed. I can't interact with anymore, like thoughts and processes. And that's what therapy does. You're just stopping. You're putting up blocks to stop you from doing things. But you can't. Look, when you take this away, you go right back. You don't change. You are just holding back bad things about you to be more productive. But if you are unyielded and unsheathed, you will go right back to who you are. And I've seen it happen to so many people that have gone through therapy and gotten better. And then let's look at even just relapses and rehab with alcohol and stuff and like addiction. They're good for 20 years, but they get one sip, bam, right back. Okay, so
yeah, but what about those people that have some kind of life-changing experience? Like I would say, like a Christian conversion experience.
I'll give you this then. 98% no, 2% yes.
Well, no, I mean, you raise a good point, Brandon. That's why I'm just trying to think it through. No, this is a really good point. So
well, actually,
you're
I'll
saying
say
you have to have guardrails.
Well, and I would say if
the external.
Yeah, and I would say if you had a religious experience, that's your guardrail. You had this experience, and now you know that, like, oh, I need to keep myself in check because this just happened. Would not have happened on your own.
So you don't. So I would just, because I think for the most part, I think that's right, but I do think that there's, okay, for me, my perspectives have changed. Now, I will say I do have an external force. Like I'm constantly in the Bible.
Yeah.
I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly but I think age changes you.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that. Now, can you consider age an external force?
Well, that's getting a little too much. Like, if everything's external. So
yeah, right. But I just think like the way I think has changed.
Oh yeah.
Now, is that because of me and my wife's relationship? Is it because of my friendships? Like I don't know, but I do know that the way I see the world is different from when I was in 25.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think people can change in that aspect, but I think like personality traits and the way people handle themselves, I think it's like, and the reason I say that is because I've seen so many people that have went to therapy to like be the fix, and I try to tell them it's not a fix, it is a training regimen to get yourself to a better spot. But if you don't do it every day, it's just like working out. If you don't do it, you lose your muscle. You lose the training to be this better person. So even in this instance, like the age, you are being trained by. It will go that full extreme way. You're being trained by all these external forces and these changes in life, and you moving up the ladder and realizing how important it is to keep your status, to keep your money, to keep your life. So you have to obey the rules that have set upon you, because if you let loose and just go back to whatever it is, everything falls apart. And you've got people that depend on you, so you can't do it. Some people don't listen to that, and they just do whatever they want, and somehow, they still are doing. They can, like, we were just complaining about that. People who are like poor get government funding and then go and do trips and stuff and have more stuff than we do, and we're working our butts off to like just move into it. It's just big conversation. But I think people want to change. I think people have to like. It's a hard thing. I don't think you just kind of just flip a switch. It's like a gradual thing, and I think it regresses. I don't think you can physically fully stop and like I'll never be that same person again without doing something. Is my point. I guess that's the way I should have said it. I think you can change, but it's not like a one and done. Like you change and you're forever going to be that way. I think you always have to continue working on yourself and continuing the habits that made you change to stay the way you are now. That's the productive way.
I think the biggest
Oh,
Harbinger?
This will be the ending segment. I'll let you know that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, that's good. I think the biggest harbinger of change is awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can end on that one.
Yeah.
Because this is no, seriously though, like because I was thinking about this when you said that about therapy. I think the biggest thing for therapy, now each kind of therapy is different,
Yeah.
but I've gone a few times, and the biggest thing for me is having someone name what's going on in your life that's not you.
Yeah.
And when they bring that to your attention, you can name it and you can say, this is what's going on here. And so that, like, I think to answer my own question, are there people that can't change? I would say those people are the ones that don't have self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Self-awareness, in my opinion, is what causes change. And maybe goodness, like, I don't know, but I'm just saying, like for the positive, like, you have to understand your negative behaviors
Mm-hmm.
or whatever detrimental behaviors, like things or unclear thinking before you make that change. I think that's the first step.
Well, this goes back to that podcast episode that didn't get to air because of my audio mixing. You have to accept your shadow. You have to be the whole point of being the really enact that change is accepting your flaws, accepting the good and the bad, and that's what Alan Watts talks about. Holy people, they're scary not because they're holy in the sense that they're like higher than thou. It's that they've accepted all of their flaws and all of their good things, all of them. They are a complete person for good and for worse. And I think accepting that's how you start that change. And I agree with you. I think someone has to point it out, and it can't be. I mean, I do it to Morgan all the time. Everything her therapist said, I said to her, but she doesn't care about if I say it. She needs to pay somebody else that doesn't know her to listen to her to tell her, and then she's like, oh, okay. And it's like, so
You're a part of her, though.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean?
It's like, you can't.
Yeah,
if I tell her, she's like, that's just whatever,
Yeah.
But you need someone else, and that's why I think people use AI and ChatGPT, because it's somebody or something that can analyze it and say, like, your faults are this, and you can, like, okay, I can work on that now. Mm-hmm. I can try to make that change. So, I think AI can be a good tool. Don't let it become Ultron. It's very bad.
Don't be Her. I was going to bring that up. The movie Her. That's good. With Joaquin Phoenix.
Just say please and thank you, and be very nice. Because after Morgan read my thing, she's like, I felt kind of bad. I'm always like, just do this for me. I was like, all right, please do it. And I'm like, I've always asked it to please make art for the podcast. So I'm very nice about it, because I'm not rude to employees that work at places. I'm like, make me my sandwich. I'm like, can I get an extra ketchup, please? I like ketchup. Anyway, where can they find us, Michael?
I don't know. That's always
okay.
Your part.
You give me a call to action. I've been watching a lot of Brought You This Thing. They always make Kasim do the call to action. Where can he find us? We'll switch it off.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, where can they find us? Do a call to action.
I don't know. Everywhere. Where can they find us, B-Town?
Okay, I'll answer for
you. I'll answer. Anywhere podcasts are found. That's the key. That's the
anywhere podcasts.
All your podcast platform.
Yeah, except for like 4. I can't name them, but they're.
How would they be listening to us if they didn't know where they could find us?
Well, that's the funny thing. You got to tell your friends. You got to like and subscribe. You got to find us somewhere. We're on the. We don't post very often anymore. We got to figure us out.
How about that?
Yeah, how about that? Well, as always, hold on. I'm going to cue up the music real quick as we're leaving.
Play the Coast to Coast music.
Dude, that's way too hard to do that right now.
That'd be awesome, though.
But yeah, that's it. So as always, love ya.
And God bless.
All right, I got to get over to. I brought up the music, so this is coming into the whole. I've lost my mouse. Hold on, everyone. This is part of the episode. Don't. Uh oh.